Welcome to the Horr-Gasm podcast, the show where the serial killer isn't coming for you, you're coming for them. I'm Nick, and this is my co-host Ali.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us wherever you are.
Yeah. Wherever you are.
Wherever.
Switzerland or United Kingdom.
We're global. We have gone global. Worldwide.
It's like 2% of our listening, but still it counts.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
I was wondering if nobody's even mentioned to me about the intro of the serial killer isn't coming for you, you're coming for them. And I feel like people don't get it. It was like one of my biggest flashes of genius.
It's a good sex joke.
Right, it's a pun.
Yep.
It's just, that was one of my favorite parts of starting this is the puns. I was like, how many is too many?
Not enough.
Not enough, right?
Yeah.
It's good.
So, for our listeners, there's a bit of a change in plans. We really were supposed to be reviewing, what's it called? Callous. Apparently, people in Canada or out of the States can't view it.
Yeah, it's
like
only
us.
Available on Amazon Prime for the United States. So, you can't even buy it.
No.
Which is weird. I was like, okay, whatever, not Amazon Prime, that's totally fine. But you can buy it, really? So, whatever. I mean, yeah, so I've contacted the director and hopefully he sends us a link we can use, or...
We'll just download it a little illegally and go from there.
Yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere. So I did a big Google of see if it was available anywhere other than Amazon the States, and I couldn't find anything, so I just thought... go right to the source, and it looks like a good movie though, so I was really excited. So I was kind of bummed out, but hopefully we get all the logistics figured out and pop it back into the lineup.
Yep, do it down the road.
Down the road. That's how we do it.
Instead, we have decided to watch and review The Grudge.
Woohoo! Which I've never seen.
You've never seen. I saw it in theaters twice.
Yeah.
Scared the bejesus out of me.
Mm-hmm.
One of the few movies that I talked to you earlier before, but we were recording. Of the 4 movies that scared me, that's one of them. That actually scared me.
Yeah. Which is, I feel kind of gypped that I didn't watch it when it came out. 2004 when it came out. I'm watching it now, 15 years later. Because I feel like the scares kind of weren't as effective as they would have been maybe in 2004.
Yeah.
And not seeing it in the theater, it's different. Always. Right?
Yeah, and also it also kind of syncs up with, I believe it was yesterday, they released the trailer for the remake of The Grudge, called The Grudge, again done by Sam Raimi, and it's more Americanized, it's set in America, unlike this one's set in Japan, like the all original ones too.
Right.
I wouldn't call it a remake, it's a
reboot.
A reboot.
Yeah.
It's the same story, but they just update it.
I love Reboot.
That was a
Missed that show.
That was a good show. But so we're doing The Grudge.
The Grudge, yeah. I was really excited for it.
And,
it was fine.
What did you think of the trailer? You watched it just before you started recording.
I did. I watched the trailer for The Grudge 2020. It looks creepy. It's I like the actors and actresses that are in it. It's just looking at the trailer, it just looks like everything we've seen before.
It's
that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, we just watched the movie, and there's a few scenes that are almost shot for shot.
Right.
In this new reboot.
Right.
Which is fine.
Yeah. I think more what I'm trying to say is like we've seen the haunted house, we've seen the demonic people like in different movies, and I just and especially not that it's bad that it's made by Sam Raimi. But I think because we just watched Evil Dead, the remake, so recently, it felt very similar to that feel. You can tell it's the same director. And that's not bad. It's just I feel like maybe because we watched Evil Dead, the remake, and The Grudge, it just feels like that's literally what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's just, I feel like we've seen all this stuff before. It's just...
Yeah. It's funny how... Sam Raimi, when he was directing Spider-Man 2, when he with the scenes with Doc Ock's tentacle, his arms, it was a full-on Evil Dead callback with the arm POV going after the scientists and
You
those
bet.
working, which is I love I love that camera angle that he does. The idea is it's cool.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. It'll be a good movie. I'm sure I'll go see it. I'm a sucker for an original story. Like, I'm fine with remakes and redoing and parts 1, 2, and 3. I really miss original stories that you get excited for, I think.
Yeah, like I mentioned to you before, almost every alien horror movie is the exact same plot, rinsed and recycled.
Yes.
They see lights, they go investigate. A lot of them, they have a bunch of documentary style kind of Blair Witch camera style
Yeah,
movies.
you bet.
And they're always, we see lights, they follow a bunch of blurry cam. You never see anything until the very end when they all get abducted up and the camera falls out from the ship or something.
Yeah.
It's like, I think there's the Poughkeepsie tapes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few others that are very, like, it's like they took the same script and just threw in different characters or little different settings, and that's it. Like the Phoenix Lights and others.
Yeah.
The Phoenix Lights, the Poughkeepsie tapes are almost the exact same movie, except for different times.
I would like to start a petition to get rid of shaky cam. I think we need to get rid of the shaky cam. It's just overdone, and when it's done, I find sometimes it's not done well, or it's done because the directors or producers don't want to show specific scenes. Like, what I mean is, one of my favorite books ever was The Hunger Games, right? I was like a teenager when that came out, so I was super into that. In the first Hunger Games, when we get right off the gate, and there's a bunch of kids about to die, and I'm like rubbing my hands together in the theater, like, all right, how are we going to do this? Like, I'm super jazzed. Shaky cam. So you can't see anything.
No.
And I get the idea of, like, you don't want to show kids dying when it's basically like a YA novel being made into a movie and you're mostly attracting teenagers and stuff, but there's, like, a better way to do it, which they figured out later in the series, but I was just really disappointed. I'm so over shaky cam.
We should watch Battle Royale, which 100
That's
Games
a
is
good one.
totally
I've seen
based on.
part of it.
I got it.
No? Oh, yeah, you do. It's actually up here somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, cool.
It's in our horror box of fun, I'm pretty sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, it's...
That's a good one.
Yeah, Battle Royale is the original idea that Hunger Games, like, well, I think it's unofficial.
Sure.
But they stole the idea.
Yeah.
Totally stole the idea.
Did you ever play the video game Danganronpa?
No.
It's kind of based off that too, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you should look it up.
I'll
It's
look
really
it up.
interesting. It's one of the horror games I watched. That's it's like an anime kind of. I don't think it's based off anything. There's Danganronpa 1, 2, and 3. I'm pretty sure there's 3 of them. It's like a killer bear that kills kids and then makes kids kill each other, and then there's like a murder trial.
That's the meanest Winnie the Pooh ever.
It's amazing. It's such a good game. The first one is really particularly well done. The second one's a little bit, it's not better, but it's kind of the same story, but they ramp it up a bit. And the third one's kind of garbage. Yeah. I think you'd like it. If you like Battle Royale, it's teenagers killing each other. If you know, Tinder. Interests include playing video games, watching horror movies, watching teenagers kill each other. Long walks on the beach.
Oh, boy.
But I digress.
Well, also, since the theme went from Callous to The Grudge and more haunting, our house is haunted.
Our house is most definitely haunted.
It happened for me today. I was downstairs before we were recording. You were doing some school stuff.
You bet.
And I'm just I was watching 3 from Hell. I haven't seen it yet. And I was in the middle of watching, and I heard my one Bluetooth speaker just kind of kick on.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what the heck? It's in my book bag, turned off. Last I knew, if it was turned on, I don't see how it could get turned on. Yeah. So I get up, I go over, I pull it out, I'm like, yeah, turned on, off. Yeah. Put it back, I'm like, whatever. And I come upstairs, we're just about to watch the movie, and I mentioned, oh yeah, by the way, because we said before, we think the house is haunted.
For sure.
Half joke, half, serious.
Hopefully it's nice.
It's been nice so far. I think it's a nice ghost.
For sure.
But, and then you told me, oh yeah, it pushed off the my book bag, my gym bag earlier.
My gym bag today.
And it turned on the TV for you before.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, today I was making supper, and I was just, my gym bag was sitting on my chair, which has, like is sturdy. Like, I've got a whole bunch of stuff in my gym bag, like a foam roller, shoes, everything. Like, it's not tippy. And all of a sudden, completely out of nowhere, I just see it just get pushed off, and I'm like, okay, cool. And more than once, when I've gotten up in the middle of the night to use a washroom, get a cup of water, something like that, my TV turns on.
Well, it thinks, oh, you're up. Time to watch. Maybe he wants to watch something.
Maybe it wants to watch Live PD, my favorite TV show.
Could be.
Girl, get up and watch some Live PD. Yeah, it's just, it's weird. And, like, it's just one of those things, like, I'm not really a huge believer in, like, we've talked about this before, in, like, aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, paranormal, all that kind of stuff. Knock on wood, nothing's happened to me. So that's why I'm a believer of once I see it, then I believe it. But I'm starting to get more and more convinced that our house might be haunted. Yeah, just like that thing that you can't quite explain. So you're like, And I know that, like, not the owner before me, but the owner before that. So 2 owners ago, I'm pretty sure she died in the house. So...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, that... I heard she was nice.
Hopefully she didn't leave a grudge.
Oh, I can't. I can't deal with meowing children. I can't deal with children to begin with, but a possessed meowing child. I don't like kids, and I'm not a big fan of cats, so that's like the like trifecta of.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, then for our viewers, we'll keep a record of all the paranormal activities going on in this house. And
paranormal activity, that's a good one.
It is a good one. We'll get there. We'll get there.
I have all 6.
Yay.
We can just stop after 4, though. I think that's kind of generally acceptable where you stop.
We'll do them all. We have to. It's one big story.
It is. It is. It's all connected.
Except one. The one is kind of a side story when they're in Mexico.
No, that one's connected.
Barely.
Yeah, but at the end they pull it together.
At the end.
But Katie's there at the end.
Yeah, but that's just like... barely.
But I think that's showing
kind of like,
totally off track. But I think that's showing how it can kind of happen anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the one where they have time travel already.
Yes.
Because the one kid, he
goes and he ends up in the first movie's house.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like how they threw in Tokyo Drift, a part of the Fast and Furious franchise. Right. Where it was just like a standalone movie on its own.
I love Tokyo Drift.
I didn't. That was the
I know nobody does except me.
I was excited. Oh, Vin Diesel at the end. Cool, great. This, I guess, is part of the main story now. Mm-hmm. And then they did, so.
I liked that one. I think I liked... What was the other one? The one where Paul Walker, like actually, passes away during the filming. I think it was 7? Was it 7?
6 or 7.
And then at the very end, when him and Vin Diesel take different, driving, they drive in opposite directions, and they're like, it's been a long...
Well, they're saying they're going to try and bring him back maybe for the next one.
No, stop it.
Yeah.
Why do they have to bring him back? Like, I get the Princess Leia thing, in the new Star Wars, that's going to be coming out in December. I get that. Because they didn't want to wrap up her character.
Well, they got his brother. I guess they had him in earlier for the movie to finish some of his scenes. But
right.
I don't know. I heard because they're going to bring back Dom's sister.
Why?
I don't... Because they're going to have John Cena in there, too. He's part of it, too.
Random side note.
We just got way sidetracked there. That's awesome.
We didn't have a lot for Talking Chop this week, so we thought we'd kind of freeball it. And I think we're doing great.
Oh, yeah.
We're both a little tired and a little loopy. And I think this is going great.
I agree.
Side note. I got new, so I like to name my appliances and stuff. So I got new extension cords, and I asked my partner to name it, and he named it John Cena, and wrote it in capitals with an exclamation point. And it's plugged into my room right now. That's all I had to say, is that my extension cord is John Cena.
Well, I can't think of a better way to get into the movie, so let's get into the Grudge. Okay, Alana.
Woohoo! It was kind of a scary scream. We should have put the.
You know what? I will.
Maybe
I
we
will
can.
in post.
Oh, perfect. Oh,
Yeah, usually
fix it in post.
Usually we got that scream in there. I'm gonna throw in the creepy, crackly growl.
Crackly, yeah.
It just fits for this one.
I was reading the trivia before we started, and it's they actually said that the director did that crackle. That wasn't the actress; it was the director.
No, I'm sure it was the actress.
I read again. Trivia is not always right, but that's what it said in the trivia.
I'm sure it was the actress. She did the whole from the originals.
Sure.
Like The Grudge is a huge franchise in Japan, known as the Ju-on. It started with Ju-on the Curse, and then the Curse Part 2, then the Grudge, and it just went on and on and on. And they finally they brought it over to America, they Americanized it.
Right.
With it was set in Japan, which was the right thing to do, I think. But it's got a huge franchise. They've got movies since 1998 was the very first one. And now with 2020 being the reboot coming out.
Yeah.
And before that, they even threw in Kayako, who is the Grudge ghost in The Grudge, and the girl from The Ring. Sadako.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Something like that.
And it's titled.
Isn't her name in the American one Samara or something?
Yes, they changed it from Sadako to Samara.
Okay.
They whitewashed it, basically.
Right. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to say the word. But I'm glad you did.
And it's on the Shudder. They have the Kayako versus Sadako.
Yeah.
The Ring versus the Grudge, and I might watch that this Halloween. I have to.
Have you seen the Japanese The Grudge, like Ju-on the Grudge?
No, I've seen clips. I haven't seen the whole thing.
I heard it was scarier.
Well, it's less. It's not a very graphic movie. Like in this one, in The Grudge, one we watched had a little bit of gore.
Yeah, hardly any. And they had to cut it all out to make it PG-13 to begin with.
And even with in the Japanese culture, less blood and gore is more scary. They were on the facial effects, the makeup, and they went the whole less is more idea.
Right.
And I think it worked perfectly.
For sure.
Just because, just the look, the pale skin, the dark eyes, the hair, very creepy.
The hair was creepy.
Yeah, I saw this in theaters. It scared me.
Yeah.
I was I think I told us before, I was an hour drive out of the city, driving home. I'm looking in the rear view mirror, just waiting for the crackly growl, the kid meowing, anything.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there wasn't. But it was so spooky to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And watch, I thought you'd get a little spooked by it. You're too tough. You didn't get spooked.
I'm still waiting for that movie out there. It's out there. I know it's out there.
We'll find it.
It's going to creep me out. Maybe we have to start watching it with, all the lights off or something and stop making jokes the whole time, even though it's not my personality.
That's tough. Because we have fun. That makes it fun for us.
Yeah, right? I was actually listening to, this will kind of date the podcast because you'll know when it came out, but I was listening to the Dead Meat podcast today, and they had a couple of special guests. They were from YouTube. I didn't recognize their names. But he said that every year for his birthday, he invites all of his friends over, and they watch the scariest movie that they can find. And he said that that's kind of how he likes to watch horror movies, is with his friends, because it's less scary, and it's more enjoyable.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think that's what I was missing. It was friends. That sounds so depressing. That's what I was missing from my horror movie experiences. I never found people who like to watch them, so I just never watched them.
Yeah.
And they're not fun to watch by yourself, like I told before.
I have fun watching by myself. That's just my personality.
Sure. Well, now I do.
Yeah.
I think in high school, when you're like a, worried teenage girl, like I was, I probably wouldn't have, because I was trying to, keep up with the trends and listen to music, watch the movies, that kind of thing, and I just didn't have time.
Well, how did you hear about this movie, Alana?
The first time I heard about it, I'm pretty sure I heard about it when it first came out. And all I heard about was Sarah Michelle Gellar is in it, and I was jazzed for that because I like her.
I love that actress.
And
She is gorgeous.
I know you like her.
And she's such a good actor. I love her acting.
I mean, my favorite was when she was Daphne in Scooby-Doo, but like, whatever.
Really?
Nick's narrowing his eyes at me.
Really? Daphne.
I don't watch a lot of movies she's in.
She was in Buffy. She was in Scream 2. She was also in I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I haven't seen any of those.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So Daphne. But that's basically what I heard about it was when it came out. And, like, you know, you always know those couple people who go to the theaters as soon as it comes out. And they're like, oh, it's so scary. It's so creepy. And I'm like, great. I'm never seeing it. So I was just, that's all I knew about it. I knew that there was the creepy lady with the hair and the little kid that meows. And that's all I knew. I knew nothing. And I asked you about 10,000 annoying questions as soon as it started. I'm like, okay, so how does this happen? How does that happen?
I answered everyone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even after that, pay attention. This plot. You got some plot coming up. Pay attention. Yeah, I like it. I first heard about this through trailers, and I'm like, oh, I gotta see this. This looks like a good, scary movie. I was right.
So did you know it was a remake from, like, a Japanese film initially?
Yes.
Because this is 2004,
yes,
so the internet was out, but wasn't as readily available.
It was. I didn't do much research into the originals.
Sure.
But I remember hearing that it was based on a Japanese series.
Okay, sure.
And I'm like, oh, cool. Well, Japanese, they got some good, their mythology is terrifying at times.
Fabulous.
They're very, when it comes to horror, they're their own entity. Mm-hmm. Nothing that we could think of is at all similar to Japanese horror.
Yeah, the imagination that, I don't know what's in the water in Japan, but, like, the imagination that they have, like, it's not a secret that I'm, like, huge into anime. And the imagination that goes into creating these stories, and same with, like, J-horror, they're huge, you know? Japanese and Korean, like, it's the two.
Well, I think they take most of their, like, mythology, their beliefs, and they work around that.
Yeah.
And go from there. Like, again, the Grudge is based on a Japanese mythology of when someone dies in a extreme fit of rage or sorrow.
Yeah.
There is left, the emotion stays. Everything else goes on, but the emotion, the rage, the sadness, the sorrow,
like Darth
sticks
Maul.
around. Yeah. And it stays and it sticks and it
festers and keeps you alive, kind of?
No, not quite so. It just affects everything around it.
Okay.
So if it's in a house, anything in the house's vicinity will be affected. Whether it be death or just bad luck or something like that.
Interesting.
And it's really neat how some of their just their beliefs are so neat. Mm-hmm. Like I used to have a big fascination with Japanese culture and lifestyle. I was like, oh, I'm going there. I'd still like to go there one day.
We should make a trip.
We should.
I'd love to go there. It would be fabulous. I'd love to go with like a tour or a tour group or somebody who knows what the heck they're doing, because I speak 0% Japanese.
I'd love to learn.
Yeah, right. But I've heard it's hard.
I heard it's one of the easiest languages to learn.
Really?
English is the hardest because
I mean, obviously
we have such stupid words.
I work with a lot of people who speak Mandarin, and Mandarin's, I think, the second hardest language to learn.
Possibly.
Yeah. It's like, it's a thing. Interesting. I didn't know it was so easy. Well, not easy, but it would one of the easier ones to learn.
Well, it's mostly, like, everything kind of sounds alike, and they kind of, if I can remember, I forget now I did a bit of research on the language itself, and it's, a lot of words kind of mean the same thing, just how you pronounce it.
Oh, so it's the phonetics of it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I could say really the word like shin. That translates to true or original. I believe.
Okay.
I could be wrong with that part. But yeah, it's also there's different dialects. That's the thing. Like
right.
They have like especially with writing. Writing is tough. You got kanji. You got all the different types of writing. They got different, I'm trying to think, for example, let's say North America.
Okay.
We have English, French, and Spanish.
Okay.
So think that, but in Japan, but three different types of Japanese.
Okay.
So
that's like Chinese. They have like the
Cantonese,
and Mandarin.
Yes.
But then there's not only that. There's like high Mandarin and low Mandarin.
Yeah.
And there's like different, like exactly that. There's different dialects depending on which city you're from. I worked with this lovely gentleman. We called him Mr. Joe. And he said he could tell exactly which part of China somebody was from what Mandarin they spoke.
I believe it.
I was like, that's cool.
And that's like Japan.
Hey?
Like, people who are in Tokyo, I think, speak different Japanese than those living in Kyoto.
Sure.
Or in that area.
That's the thing. It's the same language. Like, I think of people from Quebec here in Canada. They speak completely different French than people in, like, France.
Yeah,
it's a completely different language.
They get looked down upon with this
really?
Kind of yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Someone from France, I guess, when they go to Quebec, like, they're just aghast of how butchered the French language is in Quebec.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. They're kind of looked down pretty bad upon.
Oh. But they just made it their own.
They did.
Good for you, Quebec. You're a thing.
So who we got for characters in this lovely flick?
Oh, well, the main character that we were talking about, Sarah Michelle Gellar, her name in this is Karen, and she's joined by her boyfriend, Doug. And then the woman that she goes to look after is Emma.
Well, okay, so Doug is played by Jason Behr. Emma is played by Grace Zabriskie.
Uh-huh.
Zabriskie.
She was in Santa Clarita Diet. I recognized her as soon as she was on the film.
And then we have Matthew, who's played by William Mapother.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife Jennifer.
Jennifer, yeah.
Who is played by Clea Duvall.
Okay.
Susan is played by Kitty Strickland.
So, and Emma's two kids are Matthew and Susan.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Matthew's married to Jennifer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And who else we have? Toshio, who was the original boy from
the little cat boy.
Yeah, little kitty boy. And him and the actress who played Kyako, who was... So, I'm going to butcher these names. So Toshio was played by Yuya Ozeki.
Okay.
And Kyako was played by
You got this.
Takako Fuji.
Okay, that's not bad.
That's
not
close.
bad.
That's close.
Yeah.
So, and again, like the girl who played Kyako and the boy who played Toshio and the father were all the original characters in the original Japanese Ju-On series.
Which is interesting. Like, you'd think that Toshio would have grown out of the role, or maybe they just used him even though he was a bit older.
Well, it started in, I think, 98, 99 was the original. I think 2002, 2003 was their version of the Grudge. And then, like, the year after, so they just you must not have grown that much.
Yeah. Because kid actors are hard, because, like we saw in the Halloween movies that we watched back to back, when they use different kid actors.
Yeah.
It's hard, because kids grow up real quick. Even, like, Stranger Things, when you look at the kids, like, back when they first started to now, like, Millie Bobby Brown, the girl who plays 11, posted a picture on Instagram yesterday, and she's got boobs now. You're not allowed to. You have to be flat forever. I can't deal with people growing up. Especially when you've, like, grown up with them and you see these kids.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
Ugh, it's hard.
Yeah. It is.
It is. Ugh, I don't know. So that's my little bit about kids growing up. But I guess we should probably get right into the review.
Yep. So I guess we'll start off like the movie starts with Peter, who is played by Bill Pullman. Falls from a balcony and dies.
Yeah, he jumps.
Well,
he kind of. Well, does he really jump? He kind of like tips himself over.
He does a little tippy toe and then head first. Over he goes.
You remarked that it was exactly like the one kid dying from, spoiler alert, Game of Thrones. He just like Tomlin or whatever. Wasn't that the one who did it? I forget.
Oh, I forget his name. I shouldn't forget because
And he just like literally just like takes his crown off and literally just walks out the window.
Yep.
That's it. Just
he goes
walks.
out the window. He's like, oh wait, takes the crown off, puts it down, and just poofs her.
Yeah.
Over he goes.
Just keeps walking. And then so and we don't know who Peter is or what he's done or
we just
anything.
We just see him laying on the ground, quite dead.
Quite dead.
And you're like, what the heck?
Yeah, he's got some limbs in some wrong directions there.
Yeah. Then we go through the opening credits, and we go to this girl Yoko. She's on her way to work. She's there's a care aide.
Caregiver, kind of. Yeah, like an in-home nurse, sort of. I'm assuming she checks up on her, and because her kids live with her. But the kids live with her. But
her son. Her son.
Her son. You're right. Yeah, her son and his wife live with her. But obviously they're working during the day, so they have a caregiver come in and wash her and feed her and put her to bed.
We're talking about Emma, the older lady. Yeah. And she's got a bit of dementia, so she needs some help. And so Yoko, she's there doing her job, cleaning up and just making sure that poor Emma is taken care of and washed and cleaned up. Yeah. And while doing that, she hears some sounds in the attic. So she goes and investigates, and she hears something in the closet in one of the rooms, and leaves to the attic. So of course, like all inquisitive people who hear sounds in the attic, they climb up there.
There is no way you would pay me enough to hear a weird noise and pop my head into a closet. I'm just saying.
And we can instantly reveal, we instantly meet Kayako.
Is it Kayako? Oh, yeah, it is.
Kayako.
Yeah, Kayako. I forgot if it was her or Toshio.
And Yoko is no more.
Yes. We see her kind of scream a lot and get pulled into the attic.
That's right.
And that's all they wrote for Yoko.
Then we skip over. I did a lot of notes for this one. Then we skip over to Karen, and her and her boyfriend Doug are just kind of waking up.
It's the most two most boring names ever. As soon as you told me, you're like, oh yeah, this is Karen and Doug. So the whole time I wrote SMG for Sarah Michelle Gellar. So I was like, there's no way I'm using the word Karen halfway through all my notes. I refuse.
I did. What a Karen. What a Karen.
What a Karen.
So so they are in Japan. I think she's doing, she's working at the same care place that Yoko is to getting her 1 credit.
Yeah.
I think her boyfriend's taking school or classes.
Yeah. He mentioned that he's got an architecture final.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he's going to be like, I don't know, an architect, an engineer, something like that.
Yeah. So she goes to work, and she's talking to Alex, her supervisor.
Yeah, who's played by Ted Raimi.
It's a Raimi film. You got to have his brother in there.
Yeah.
And he kind of gives her the good news. Yoko didn't show up, so hey, you get your first solo job.
Woohoo!
And so he gives her the address to Emma's place, and off goes Karen to wow the world, to show her what she can do.
Wow the world. I'm going to do that.
Where she goes, and she goes in, checks around, cleans up because it's a mess. It's always a mess.
Super mess. Yeah, there's receipts and newspaper clippings all over the house. Yeah. And it's not really told why. She's just assumes that, something's happened or Emma's messed up the house and that's why. And Yoko's wasn't there, obviously, so. And
you get not a jump scare, but you get a bang on the door, and there's poor Emma trying to open the sliding door, and she's a little freaking out, freaked out. Yeah. And so good old Karen, she cleans her up and does a bit of cleaning on the outside and inside, and
does some laundry.
Yep, puts Emma to sleep and goes to keep doing some cleaning up and goes upstairs. And
that's when she finds. She walks into one of the rooms. She kind of keeps cleaning up and sees one of the rooms. And as she pokes her head into the one room, she notices that the closet's all taped up. Taped. Yeah. Taped. Completely, it looks like masking tape, and it's completely, the whole entire closet is taped up.
So I wonder who did that.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was Emma.
Yeah, sure.
But she was also kind of stuck in her room. So I wonder who did that.
Yeah.
That was not explained whatsoever.
Yeah, but it would make sense that it was Emma because she does say later in that scene before like Karen gets attacked that I just wish that she'd leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I could see that she would do that.
And again, this is kind of one of those kind of forward back,
Yeah, jumps
movies.
around the
It
timeline.
Does. And when they first are looking at the house, Emma kind of disappears and she's looking at the attic.
Yep.
Like she knows, like she can, like, I don't know, her dementia is kind of giving her super dementia powers, but she knows that something's here besides them.
So when Karen, she rips the tape, so she hears a boy's voice, I'm pretty sure.
She hears a cat.
The cat.
She hears like a cat. She's like, oh, there's a cat in there.
Yeah,
I think she has like a voice too.
Yeah. So she rips all the tape off of the closet, and that's when she finds Toshio. Except he doesn't look creepy. He looks like a normal kid. Like he's got a bruised knee and he's got some cuts on his face.
Yeah. He's had a rough day.
Yeah. And he's got his little cat in there too.
Yeah.
And she kind of like asks for his name, like, who are you, all this stuff. And then I think she kind of leaves him for the time being to go call Alex.
Yeah, I think she's kind of, she's going downstairs to get the phone, calls her supervisor saying, there's this boy in here. He doesn't talk to me. He's just here.
Yeah.
Come
help,
do something.
Help.
And as she's goes back to look at him, he's kind of hanging over the banister on the second floor. And she's like, what's your name? And he's like, Toshio. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of all he really says to her.
Yeah. And then, so she pops over back to Emma, who's like awake. And that's when she bends down and she's like, oh, Emma, like, are you okay? And that's when she says, I just wish she'd leave me alone. And Karen's like, okay, whatever. And then as she turns to look at what Emma's looking at, and that's when Kayako's there. And
yeah, like you can see in the corner, like her hair kind of flows out, and it's like in a it's like a form, but like it's like a very black shadow kind of smoops around, and then eyes.
This is the only part that the CGI was not great. Like, it's when she's, like, the hairy ball in the corner, it's not great.
No.
Like, it's kind of, like, it looks like 2004 graphics, which it's going to. Like, it's 15 years old. It's not going to be perfect. But it's just, it was the only shot in the film that I was like, oh, kind of pulled me out for a second. I was like, ugh, maybe they'll do that better with a new movie.
I'm sure they will.
But it was creepy with the eye thing. And then, Karen freaks out because there's a hairy lady in the room. Yeah,
like the one single tear drops and she's kind of backs away as far out to the corner, and you see the shape kind of coming towards her, and then cut to
flashback.
Everybody loves a flashback. Yep, we go back to Emma and her son Matthew and his wife
Jennifer
look at the house. Then they're going to snoop it around and trying to go buy it. Suzuki, the realtor, he's really pushing hard for this place to get sold.
Yes.
And even he goes and checks into the tub, and it's full of dark, kind of mucky water.
Like gray matter.
And he's like, "Oh, I'll just pull the plug." And he reaches his hand in, and a hand grabs his arm.
Yeah.
And he pulls out, and he's got hair in his hand. And he's like, okay, no, I'm out. And
as soon as he does that, Matthew opens the door and he's like, well, take it. And he's like, great.
Oh, that's very good. Yes.
I was like, oh, that's really bad timing.
Yeah. So we have the first night of them staying there, and Jennifer, she can't sleep. She wakes up and she hears all this kind of mucking about, and she thinks it's Emma.
Yep.
And I don't think it was Emma. I think it was Toshio, but she's
or
kind
Kayako.
of
somebody's doing something. Someone's messing
really,
around.
I like Toshio. I think he's the one who's kind of more.
He's more
active.
Yeah, I agree.
And in the morning, she's kind of talking to Matthew about, I don't know if I can live here. Is this so different? He's like, well, tell you what, if we'll give it a month or so, if it doesn't work out, then I'll tell them I'm going back home. Mom, you, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And I think she feels sad. Like, she talks about, you know, like, she keeps getting lost. She can't speak the language. They show in the next scene that she can't read any labels at the grocery store. So, I mean, like, living in a foreign country where you don't speak the primary language, I think would be frustrating to begin with. Like, besides your house being possessed.
And it's even harder for women in Japan because they have the man is superior mentality there.
Right.
I don't think it's quite the same now as it was then. But, like, earlier on in the movie when Sarah Michelle Gellar is trying to find her way to the house, some guy kind of bumps in her way. Like, you know, gets in front of her while she's looking at the map. And she's like, oh, arigato.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like, you know, I'm sorry. Like, she apologizes. And, like, she ends up having to ask. Like, she knows enough Japanese to get her along.
Right.
But she asks some woman, you know, is this the way to go? And she's like, yes, yes. And she kind of says hi to the little girl. And the little girl kind of hides away, shies away from her.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, for a foreign woman to live in Japan would be tough, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like that in a few cultures. I actually didn't know that about Japan, but I totally believe it. It's too bad. Especially, like, it shows that Emma's obviously at home in bed all day, and Matthew's at a job. So Jen is basically by herself, so she has to figure it out.
Yeah.
She can't, and she said, like, when she gets lost, all she did was go for a walk, and she lost her way, and she couldn't understand people to get directions back to the house. So, it's too bad.
I think they did set up, though, Yoko to come, you know, check out.
Obviously, yeah.
And, so she goes and gets some noodles, some cup of noodles and ramen, and she has a bit and tries for a nap, and you hear some running around, and she wakes up to her noodles on the floor, soup's on, you know, it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
And she blamed Emma at first, like, Emma, if you're hungry, let me know. And then she sees the footprints coming from the water.
Yeah. They're like little footprints running away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she follows, of course.
Of course, as you do in horror movies. Follow the creepy footsteps. And
also, it's a big mess again. The whole place was just a disaster.
Yes.
So she goes upstairs, and she sees a kitty. Mm-hmm. And she's like, where did you come from? And these white hands. And Herb's come out, grab the cat, and pull it upstairs.
Yeah.
And, of course, she's scared, and, you know, what's going on? She goes, investigates.
Some more.
Of course.
Because that's worked so well so far.
Yeah. And,
she goes to check in a room.
Yeah, she follows the sounds.
Yeah. And she then gets dragged into a room.
No, I think she just walks in, but the door slams shut.
Then she gets dragged somewhere.
After. She gets dragged after.
Yeah, you're right.
Then we get a little bit of a time skip. Matthew comes home, finds the mess, you know, checks on his mom, and he's going upstairs looking for Jen. And he finds her in the bed, just terrified, like shaking, with the covers up. And Matt's like, what's going on? And he goes to check on her, and on the other side of the bed, there's Toshio.
Yeah.
And just lets out this big meow, like a cat scream or screech at him. And he kind of backs away, like, what the heck? And Toshio does a little bit of run around like a road runner, does some zippies around. And, of course, Matthew backs up to the closet. Yeah. And you see his point of view looking up, and there's Toshio just looking down on him. Yes. And kind of goes towards the camera. And he got him.
Doesn't Jen die in this scene, too?
Yes. She gets so terrified of whatever is going on.
Yeah, she has like a heart attack and just dies. Yeah. Because I remember you said, oh, she's dead. And I was like, she's dead? It was the most anticlimactic death scene. It's like... Yeah. And so she's dead. That's it. Sorry. So then we flash back to present day. And Alex, which is Karen's boss, who's Ted Raimi, he comes to check on her, on Karen.
Yeah, she called, and
she called.
Yeah, he's like, I'm coming, okay. And then she gets freaked out by Kayako.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and he sees Emma. He's like, oh, excuse me, you know, Mrs. I forget her last name. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, she's dead. And looks into the corner to the left, and there's poor Karen just...
Is she dead? Is Emma dead?
Yep.
Oh. That's why she wasn't there the rest of the movie.
There's a lot of, you know, just scared to death kills. Yes. Nothing too graphic, just scared to death.
Weird.
And it's, again, similar to The Ring. Like, The Ring kind of have the same powers. Mm-hmm. And I think it's almost like their influence, like it's death itself. It's kind of like how when death touches you,
yeah,
you die.
Right.
This is kind of similar. If you get close enough, it's just like the presence, the emotion of death.
Yeah.
Envelops you, and you get so scared. Your heart's like, I'm out.
Yes.
I'm done. All right, I'm out of here.
I watched a movie like that. Where was it? What was I watching? Where that's the whole point. I think we might have watched it together. I can't remember. Where you just have a heart attack. It just kills you. And I forget. It was like an invisible thing.
Death Note?
No.
Death Note was similar.
No.
There was The Frighteners.
No. I would have to think. I don't even remember. I've watched so many horror movies. But yeah, that's basically the concept is like, you just get so scared, you just die. Oh, you know what it was? It was a video game. It was that Man of Medan.
Oh,
yeah.
I've been watching the Game Grumps play that. I haven't played
that's,
it yet. It looks fun.
Yeah, that's how they get you, is you literally, you see a ghost and you just have a heart attack. That's just how they do it. They just keep their hands clean, don't get their hands dirty, those ghosts. They're like, boo, and they're like, and die. And that's it.
A good ghost.
Good ghost.
Yeah, I'm sure Casper just murders like everyone like that. So Alex, he finds poor Karen, the dead Emma, and police show up and they're investigating everything. Asking
Search
questions.
the house.
Yep. And the director, I forget the detective's name. Like
it was Nega. I had it at one point, but he's kind of a minor character.
Yeah, like
but
he's him and his colleagues investigated it.
Yeah, he has
3 years ago.
Yeah,
and they disappeared, and he kind of survived, but you can tell, he was looking around like he knows, not again. Like,
something's not right.
I've been here, done that.
Exactly. So he's searching the house and just kind of starts following clues almost. Like he sees, like, I think cat figurines or something, doesn't he? And starts following, like walking through the house.
I think
or hears something.
I think he hears some stuff, and then him or one of the other guys, they find the phone and they can't find the receiver, so they get the locate. You're right. And they follow it upstairs into the attic. Yes. And they go up there and they find in the closet there's a bunch of cat picture drawings. Yes. And they go up and they find Matthew and Jennifer. Yeah, dead in the corner. Yes. Of the attic.
And what else do they find, Nick?
They found Summer's lower jaw.
They sure did. Lower jawbone. It's like, that's one of the more graphic. I think this one, and when they eventually find Yoko, that's one of the more graphic and well done. Oh, yeah. So that's what I mean, is like the CGI was good on those. Like, really good. Again, not the jawbone, it was just a thing. But.
And we got Sam Raimi, being a part of this, and he knows his horror.
You bet.
He knows his horror very well.
Yes.
The effects.
Yes.
So,
So Karen has to go to the hospital.
Yeah, Karen wakes up in the hospital, and old boyfriend Doug's there. They're there, I'm here.
Doug and Karen.
Doug and Karen.
Come on. Like, I can't get over it.
And, the old detective, he shows up, asks some questions, shows some pictures of Kiyako, Toshio, a man, and a kitty cat. And I think right then, Karen's starting to feel what's going on. Something's off. Yeah. And we cut to Susan, who is Matthew's sister. Yes. She's working in Tokyo, I believe. Or somewhere also in Japan.
It says on the taxi when she's leaving the office, it says, "I love Tokyo."
Okay. So she's in Tokyo, in working, calling home, she's on her mom. No answer. And so she gets ready to leave. Yeah. And the phone, she gets a call back from Matthew, answers it. And we get the creepy, groany crackle from Kiyako. And so she freaks out, goes to the stairwell, and the lights, the lights above are starting to go out. Yeah. And she looks below, and you see Kiyako, she's starting to crawl up the stairs. Yes. Which is creepy. Yes. And she freaks out, runs out. And Kiyako grabs her little lucky rabbit's foot. Yeah. And she kind of rips it off and just stares at her as the door closes in pitch black. She runs to security, which is smart.
Smart, yeah.
And he goes, checks it out, and she's watching through security camera. And he goes in, looks around. Nothing happens to him. Right. Until the lights start doing some really cool flickering. Yep. It's a great effect how they they go from regular light to a dim bright. Yeah. And then we see the shadow of Kiyako coming towards the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And she freaks out. She bolts out of there. She hops in the cab, goes home.
Yeah, Susan's like, not today, Satan.
Yep.
There ain't no way.
And goes into her apartment building, goes in the elevator, goes up. And we see little naked Toshio watching her go up level by level.
Every level he's standing there and getting closer.
First 2 floors, he's standing there. And then the next 2 or 3, he's right at the window watching go up. And
So creepy.
It's a great creepy effect.
That's creepy, yeah.
And she gets into her apartment and she feels safe. And then her phone rings again.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, I don't want to answer. Well, I'll try it. She's hello, and it's her brother Matthew.
Yeah.
I'm just here to visit. What's your apartment number again?
Yep.
It's like, it's
1601.
1601.
I'll buzz you in.
Yeah, I'll buzz you in. She buzzed him. Instant doorbell ring.
Yeah, it was. That's why Nick was like, "You should watch this." And I'm like, "Okay." So I get my pen ready, and then I watch them. Like,
it took me.
Oh my god, that's creepy.
See, it's funny how it took me a couple of watches of this to realize that they basically Kyako and Toshio didn't know where she lived.
Right.
They followed her from her voicemail that she left earlier.
Yep.
To her work. They got the number.
Mm-hmm.
And then they followed her from her work to her apartment.
Yeah.
They knew the floor, but they didn't know which room, which number she was.
Yeah.
Until they called, and basically she just gave it away. And so doorbell rings, goes and answers. She looks at the people. She sees Matthew.
Yeah.
Opens door, not there. And of course, her phone starts doing the creaky,
creepy
thing.
Noise. And she drops it, and it breaks, and it still keeps doing it.
Yeah.
So creepy.
And so which I don't blame her, I think a lot of people would do, she runs into her bed, and basically she just covers up and is shivering, so scared.
Yes.
And what does she hear? She hears more crackly, groaning noises.
Yes.
And you see, from the other side of the bed, something's in there with her.
Yeah, like movement.
Yeah, from the feet. And she gets kind of pulled down. And she lifts open the covers, and there's Kyako just,
hanging out.
Let's have a sleepover.
Yeah.
And he pulls her into the bed.
And then she just disappears. Yeah. Like there's just nobody in the bed.
It's similar to Johnny Depp's death in Nightmare on Elm Street, but less bloody.
Oh, yeah.
He gets pulled into the bed,
right.
but he has some disastrously bloody results.
Yes.
This, you just fall into the bed and you're poof, gone.
We never find out what happens to Susan. Like, obviously we know what happens to Susan.
Just dead. She gets kind of pulled into the dead
Do they ever find her, though?
No. No, but they found out she's missing because they have the detective looks at the tapes after.
Right. Yep.
So they must assume that she's gone because they must have checked it. So Susan dead.
Yep. Susan's gone. So then we go to Doug at work. Doug's hanging out at work. It's just a quick scene. There's not much that goes on except it's one of the creepiest parts that I thought. So Karen shows up to take Doug home, I guess. And they hop on a bus. And when she's on the bus, she turns to look out the window. And it's Kayako's, reflection. And that was one of the only ones where I was like, ooh. And it's kind of creeping me out now because, where we're sitting, I can see myself in the window. And I'm like, keep checking.
Just waiting for someone to peek around the corner.
So me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and then another cool scene.
I like this scene.
The Karen shower scene, which is apparently iconic, even though it's really quick.
And it is. And it's in the remake as well, the trailer.
Yeah.
Where Karen's having a nice hot shower, trying to wash off this bad feeling.
Yeah.
And as she's washing the back of her hair and her head, a hand kind of comes out the back of her hand. She feels it. She freaks out and she's trying to, to shake it off, but it's already gone. It's like just a passing.
Yeah, that was creepy. And I like that they put it in the trailer for the new Grudge. Because it's creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. When you're kind of in the shower, same thing with the bed, you kind of feel safe. And then all of a sudden you feel another hand on your head. Yep.
Weird.
That's weird. That's creepy and weird.
And so then we cut to old Alex as he's leaving the office. And he sees someone kind of walking towards him down, past him down the stairs. And he's like, Yoko, what are you doing? And he goes to investigate. And he slips on some something wet on the floor and
Ugh, yeah.
doesn't put a finger in. He puts almost his whole palm into the
That was
blood.
good.
Like usually, people, like a pinky,
Yeah.
or just the tip of their finger. What is that? He goes 3 fingers deep.
Oh yeah,
that's
how you do it. There's definitely no second date.
No, he goes and kind of spins. No, doesn't spin. He goes. He asks Yoko, "What's wrong? What happened?" And we see she's just all torn up, tattered up, and we see whose bottom jaw it belonged to because she's bottom jaws and her tongue kind of flops out.
Yes.
And Alex just screams.
Yeah.
And dead.
That was really good acting.
Yeah.
Really good acting. And
I like this look of like revulsion.
Yes.
And then fear.
Yes.
As Yoko, she kind of starts doing like the movements that Kyako does, like the head kind of crack. And
yes.
tilt.
Yeah.
So she's kind of possessed by the
whatever
spirit, the grudge.
Yeah. It was creepy. That was one of the CGI effects that I thought did really well.
I like that one.
Really well.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
And so we go back to Karen. She's Inspector Gadgeting her way through this, trying to figure out what's the connection. She's going through like old newspaper records, and she comes across the death of Kyako and her family.
Yeah.
And also Peter, the guy who we saw at the beginning, fell out the window. They both died on the same a day after.
Yeah.
Peter died a day after.
Yeah.
And then we cut also then to the detective as he's watching security footage from Susan's work. And he's watching the security guard go look in the hallway. Nope, nothing in the stairwell. It goes down the hall. And we see the shadow come up and it comes right to the screen, like to the camera.
That was creepy.
And then we see this black envelop everything. And then we have just eyes.
Yes.
Staring at him. And you can tell he's
like,
no, he knows, what's going on. He knew the whole time. I don't think he really believed it until he actually saw this.
Yes, I agree.
And I think he even tells Karen this after about what he believes is a grudge. It's when someone dies under severe
duress,
anger or sorrow that their emotions remain. So he's gonna go and do some fixing. He's gonna fix this.
Yeah.
But before then, we go another flashback.
Woo.
Of Peter.
Yeah.
You see, he's a guy who fell from the balcony apartment, and he's a teacher, and he's got a letter from one of his students who's got a big crush on him.
Big old crush.
And he's got a bunch of letters, and his one colleague's asking, "Oh, she must have really liked you." He's like, "I remember her. I guess she was in my classes. I don't remember her." And so he goes, there's the address of where it's coming from. So he goes to kind of confront and tell her, stop it, I'm married.
Yeah.
And he sees Toshio kind of...
He's hurt.
Yeah, he's just kind of on the balcony.
Yeah.
And so he goes inside to go find him, and Toshio just kind of runs away.
Yeah.
And he finds Toshio in the bathroom, just kind of laid on the floor, and he picks him up, puts him in the living room, and tries to talk to him, tries to touch his forehead. Toshio just backs away.
Yeah.
Like he was going to burn him or something. And he finds a torn out picture of the family with Kyaku's face kind of cut out. And he's like, well, what the heck? So he kind of looks out the window. We hear some cat meowing.
Oh, yeah, that was creepy because he doesn't see it, but...
Toshio just kind of looking straight ahead, and he looks towards the camera and towards Peter. And his mouth
just opens his mouth. It's like...
It's a very...
It's so creepy.
His eyes, this boy kills it.
Yeah.
With the creepy looks. He does. He does a great job.
Yeah.
And again, cut back to Karen as she's talking to the detective, and he explains a grudge in Japanese mythology and all that. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to go fix this. And he has 2 things of gasoline. He's going to do some burning. He's going to burn the house down. That's his plan.
Which I totally agree with the fact that, that's how you cleanse bad stuff. You just burn it down.
Fire is seen as a way to purify.
Yes. Yeah.
And what better way than to burn
it to the ground.
That's right. Using gasoline. Gasoline burns pretty good.
Yes.
But, of course, he
takes the gas canisters to the house, and he gets distracted.
Yeah. well, Toshio, his head's in the tub, kind of drowning, and he
Yes.
pulls him out. He's like, boy. And suddenly someone grabs him and pushes him headfirst into the tub
Yeah.
full of water, and that's the end of the detective.
Yeah, he gets drowned.
He gets drowned. Like we'll find out how Toshio. We kind of assume he
Yeah.
died that way.
Yeah. So Karen heads back. Well, she's back at the apartment now, and she gets a phone call from Doug. And he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go fix this now, because that's what they need, right? Is more people to try to fix.
Well,
this.
he knows that she was doing a bunch of research, and he's a little concerned. He's like, "Hey, well, what are you doing? I hope you're at the house. I'm going there now. I'll see you there." And she's like, "No, what? No." So she takes off to the house. She gets there, and she doesn't see him at first.
Yeah, and he also tells her that Alex and Yoko are dead too, and so she's kind of like, ugh.
Oh right, yes. She finds out they're dead too.
Yes, yeah, and then she runs there. Yeah. Like, and she's booking it. In the first scene when she goes to Emma's house, she like takes a bus and walks a bit and gets lost, but she like books it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they live closer than her like call agency for the nursing home, but
maybe she ran to the bus stop or got a cab. Who knows? But she bursts in, starts looking for her boyfriend Doug. As she goes up the stairs, everything gets kind of brighter, and this is one of the coolest parts of this movie.
Yes.
Her and Pete, she kind of watches Peter as he's snooping around.
Yeah.
And he kind of comes across a pile of pictures. Mm-hmm. And he starts going through them all, and they're all pictures of Kyako with her face cut out.
Yeah.
And they're pinned on the closet door.
Yeah, like her face.
Yeah. And he finds her diary, and he's kind of snoops through it, and he basically it's just obsession.
Yes.
Peter everywhere. Mm-hmm. Peter and Kyako. Her handprint and just a picture of him in it.
Yes.
And he's a little kind of bothered by this and goes and opens the closet door because there's flies coming out there. Mm-hmm. And the poor Kaku's dead body just flops down out. And just stares at him. And he's mortified.
Yes.
He backs out of there and goes and looks into it. Like, here's his thumping. Mm-hmm. And he opens another door, and there's the dead husband, hung himself. He's gone. He's out of the house. He leaves. And we also, during this whole little kind of scene, him and Karen interact, but not really. It starts with, because he opens the one door and he sees Toshio just kind of sitting there. Mm-hmm. And Toshio doesn't look at Peter, he looks at Karen. And Peter's like, kind of looks behind him, like, what are you looking at? Yeah. And then later on, when he's looking at the pictures, he kind of bumps into Karen's arm, and like he looks like there's someone here. Like almost like, when you touch like you're electrified and you touch a door handle and you get a shock, kind of like that. Yeah. Like And it's like almost like the Grudge kind of connected them. Yes. At that scene at that time. So he books out there. I think he's so obsessed. Mm-hmm. He's so upset over what happened. I think he kind of killed himself, thinking he was at fault. Interesting. I think so. Because I was going to ask you about that. Like, why did Peter fall up off the balcony? So, do you think it was him? Do you think he was pushed by No, I don't think he was. I don't think he was pushed because she loved him. So you think he was pushed by guilt? Well, it's not even his fault. I think he felt somewhat fault because she had such an obsession with him. Right. What I think is that he is kind of being plagued the same way Karen is being plagued. I could see it that way as well, where he just wants it to be over. He wants it to end. I think so too. Right? I think that would maybe her last little... Because also, you can see out of her eye, he's so terrified and scared he leaves. I could see that being hurtful to if there was still a bit of spirit left in Kyako. Yeah. She would see that as like betrayal, as not feeling good enough. Right. And, well, fine, I'll push you out the window then. Yeah. Or something. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, and we can see these spirits, obviously, regardless of if they're in the house or not, they have like
they can touch and feel and pull and drag and manipulate. So I think it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility that, you know, he was pushed. But, yeah, I think he probably did it to himself to be done with the grudge.
Yeah, I think he wanted out.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wanted out.
Yeah. I just don't see him as, like, obviously figuring out what happened, I think he would feel bad, but I don't think it was, like, because he really didn't know.
No.
Right?
No, but I guess, I don't know. I trying to put myself in his shoes.
For
I
sure.
would feel somewhat guilty.
For sure.
I wouldn't be at fault.
Right.
But it would have been pretty disturbing to see a bunch of dead bodies. And some people can take it, some people can't.
I agree.
Maybe his conscience just got the better of him. He's like, you know what, I want out.
Yep.
Maybe there's more to it with
Sure.
Kyako. Maybe she had some sort of influence around him.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But, so he bolts out of the room. Actually the whole house. Karen looks in there to the one room that he was looking in. Here's just thump, thump, thump. And we see Toshio
Oh my god, yes.
pushing the hung body of his, I'm guessing, father.
Yeah.
Who hung himself just against the wall.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of
hair.
Of Kyako's hair.
And he's being hung kind of by hair, like there's hair all over him.
Yeah. I think he did it by like rope.
For sure.
But I think just the whole, because
the hallucination of that.
The grudge is everyone. It's not just Kyako. It's not just Toshio. It's Kyako, Toshio, the cat, and
the dad. The husband, yeah.
And we see what happened.
Yeah.
She comes home and opens her room, and here's him. He's got the diary. You can tell he's mad. He goes mad with rage and jealousy.
It's almost like there's something wrong with him, though, because he's doing those weird, like, motions.
Well, I think he just snaps.
Yeah.
Like, he just...
And he's sweating. Like, he is
sweating. His mind just shattered. Like, he just saw nothing but revenge. And so he goes after poor Kyoko, and he kind of... In the deleted scene, or in a different scene, he stabs her back as she's trying to crawl down the stairs because he kind of pushes her down.
Yeah.
And he grabs her head and kind of puts her like a he kind of chokes her.
Yeah, like a chokehold almost.
A chokehold, yeah. And we see Toshio on the stairs, on the balcony, on
the landing, yeah.
And just that same pose, like his feet drawn right up, his face right against the what do you call it?
The railing?
Yes, that's the railing. Just watching with just this terrified kind of, not scared, but just aghast look in his eyes. And you can hear Kyako trying to say something. Yeah. And he basically snaps her neck. And her last words are the guttural, growly sounds that we hear the rest of the movie. That's her last words and sound she makes. Yeah. And so he drops her, grabs Toshio and the cat, drowns the cat in the tub and Toshio. And then he kind of drags her, wraps her up, tosses her in the attic in the corner. I think Toshio gets tossed in the attic too. We don't really see where he ends up. Yeah. But
in the newspaper article, it said that they were all in the attic, so I would assume that they both ended up in the attic. Yeah.
And basically, he hung himself. Yeah. And poor Karen, she's terrified of all that. She goes downstairs and she runs into Doug, her boyfriend, who's just barely clinging to life. Yes. And we hear the crackly, growly sounds as Kyako starts coming down the stairs in the exact same way that she was killed. Yes. And it's cool, like I told you, the actress did the same. There's no CGI to that at all. I think there's a little bit of mimicry, or not mimicry, editing with the when she was crawling just to make the look more jutted. And
she did all the crawling herself because she was a contortionist in real life. Yeah. But like they just moved the movements around a bit.
Movie magic. Yeah. They kind of made it look
just
a little more stuttery. And,
yes.
And she crawls down going after Doug first. Mm-hmm. And she crawls over Doug, and Doug kind of dies just by the fear.
Fear, yeah.
And she turns her gaze to Karen, and Karen, she's trying to get away, opens the door, and again, this is a creepy scene to me.
It was scary, yeah.
Opens the door, and again, it's black outside, and the head of Kyako just kind of is probably waist height, just drops.
Floats down, yeah. Floats down. It's creepy.
And she closed the door again, and she's like, whoa, there's gas here. She kind of realizes now. Kicks the gas can over while holding Doug. Yeah. And like a little embrace. And she grabs his lighter from his jacket. Yeah. and looks down and, oh, it's not Doug anymore, it's Kayako, and she's trying to get at Karen's arm to stop throwing the lighter, or the lighter, and she just tosses it.
Yeah.
And
that was it.
We think the movie's over, but not quite.
Yeah, not quite. We got to do one more end credit.
One little
end scene.
End scene where
we're at the morgue.
At the morgue, and this one doctor is, he zips up and looks at a dead body, covers it up, and they say, well, it was a Caucasian male, early 20s. He didn't die, managed to save the house, which is key. That's a big, the house didn't burn down.
That's how we have number 2 and 3.
Yes. And what about this one girl survived? How did she make it? We don't know. We're still investigating. And Karen kind of walks out, and she goes to look at Doug's dead body. And she sees a bit of hair coming from the corpse. Yes. And a nice white arm drops down. Yeah. And she kind of blinks, and she sees, oh no, it's just Doug. And then we hear that crackly, growly sound one more time, and there's Kayako behind her, just staring at her, with that one eye behind the hair.
The one eye.
And cut. And movie.
And then credits. Woo! And that was The Grudge.
That was The Grudge. Good movie.
Good movie. Yeah.
Good movie. Yeah. It's been a tough time for me to watch it before, because I was watched theaters. I was so scared by it. Yes. Watching it again, it's not that scary. Yeah. It's still got its own moment, but you know what? I'm not as bothered as I was before by it.
For sure. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, it was good. Like, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I think the story's good. I'd be interested to watch the Japanese version and see how it relates and compare and contrast the two. I'd be interested to do that. I think that you'd probably get a bit more backstory and a bit of different...
There is. Yeah. I did a little research before we did this. Yeah. And there's Junon, The Curse, The Curse 2, The Grudge. Like, they do a lot of backstory and explanation, and they kind of go past and they kind of drop the whole original characters and bring in new characters. Same idea, new characters. Cool. And yeah, I think I've heard it's better. It's scarier than the first one, than this one. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I have too, and I think that it would be fun to watch that and maybe do an update. Yeah. Down the road.
Even do just the first or 3 original Japanese, one big go. And and just talk about them.
For sure.
That's a future Horr-Gasm.
That sounds great.
A Japanese themed Horr-Gasm.
I love it.
How would you rate this movie, Alana?
I would probably give this movie a 3, I think. I feel like it's a 3. I wasn't scared by it. There were some scary parts. I think the 2 scariest parts I talked about were the ones that got me was in the door at the very ending, where she pops up in the door, and in the glass when Karen's in the bus. Those, it was just kind of unexpected. The scares I thought were kind of expected. It didn't do much for me. The CGI, like I said, that one spot kind of bothered me, because, especially with hair. Hair is one of those things in animating that is so hard to do. And I think that's why I think the gore of Yoko was really good, but the hair didn't age as well. Yeah. And it is one of the hardest things to animate. It's one of those things. So, yeah, I think for the scary level, the story was good. The acting was pretty good. Yeah, I think it's about a 3. It's nice middle of the road. Yeah. How about you?
I think I'll give it 15 years ago, I'd give it a 4.
For sure.
Now, 3.5.
Interesting.
It's a good movie. It's a good horror movie.
It's one of those classics.
Yes. When I first watched it, I tried to see it as a Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Sure. Didn't work. But I enjoy this movie. Like I said, it creeped me out. It really did bother me for a while after watching this.
For sure.
Watching it again, not so much anymore.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over it now. I'm like, whatever. It's just a woman who's got really good makeup. Yeah. Who's just really pale. Yeah. And
kind of creepy.
A little creepy. I think almost her obsession would be almost creepier
Yeah, I
the
agree.
actual story itself.
Yeah.
But I do love when she's chasing down Susan.
Yes.
How
Yeah, that was a good part.
I really, really like that. Just how she didn't know where she lived.
Mm-hmm.
She just knew she was there.
And I like that they did that because they showed that Keiko and Toshio don't have to stay in the house. They can move. Move around, move to people.
And it's like the rage, the grudge is all for them.
Yes.
It's not just Keiko and Toshio, it's everyone.
You bet.
Yeah, like it's just such a very powerful emotion.
I agree.
Of anger and rage and sorrow, and I'm sure they had both of them right there in that murder.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was good. I agree.
Murders.
3 and 3.5. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a great. I like this movie. I really do. It's a good.
Yeah.
Good. For those who are more eager to be scared, it's a good scary movie.
For sure.
For those who are like, oh, scary movies will bother me. It's not a bad flick. It's a good story.
It's a good story.
You got Sarah Michelle Gellar. You got some good. It's a good story.
Mm-hmm. I agree. For sure. So for Ichabod's Kill of the Week, she's not here.
Nope, she's snoozing. She's already in bed.
It's late.
She got scared.
Yes. What do you think Ichabod's Kill of the Week should be? Did she tell you before she went to bed?
She mentioned 1, maybe 2.
Okay, perfect.
She was okay with it. She liked the cat getting killed.
That sounds like Ichabod.
That poor kitty. He just grabs the cat, just dunks in the water, and then throws it against the wall.
That was fast. That was like much shorter lived than the other kills.
It was a quick death.
It looked like he was basically giving it a bath.
Yeah. But I think Kyaku's death was her. She said that was her kill flick.
For sure.
It was the most psychological, the most violent,
messed up. Yeah.
Very
Yeah, and even this is kind of a callback to last week, but the after death is so you see her body flopping out of the attic and those dead eyes just staring at Karen and Peter. And then obviously the whole movie is her after death.
Yeah.
It's a good kill. I agree with you for sure. Yeah, and
it's a good pick by Icky.
Good job, Ichabod, even though you're not here.
Our exec producer, she's on the ball.
She knows what's up.
Yeah.
And next week, we're watching The Shining.
Oh, that's a good one.
Never seen it.
You haven't seen it?
Never seen The Shining.
I thought you have.
Nope. I haven't.
Oh.
And especially with Dr. Sleep coming out in a couple weeks.
Ooh.
I really want to see it. So by the time we record it, it won't have come out yet. But again, we can do just an update and talking chop and just say.
Sure can.
Because I really want to see it. I know my mom really wants to see it too because she loves The Shining. So I think my mom actually suggested The Shining.
I think she did.
I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I've heard so many good things about it. I was gonna go as Jack Nicholson in The Shining this year for Halloween. So I didn't.
It's got a great cast. It's got Jack Nicholson.
Right.
It's a very. It's one of those movies that are really up there for all-time great flicks. And
Absolutely.
it's written by Stephen King.
Right.
Who is like the master of horror himself.
I'm jazzed. Yeah, I'm really excited to see it.
This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm
Awesome.
really excited. Yay. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. This episode, as always, was brought to you by our executive producer, Ichabod. We hope you enjoyed your Horr-Gasm as much as we did. Please don't forget to rate, download, and subscribe. Also, like and follow us on Facebook at Horr-Gasm Podcast, Instagram at Horr-Gasm, and Twitter at Gasm Horror. If you have a movie you'd like us to review, this is the best way to let us know. We hope to see you again next week because we have such sights to show you. Plenty of Horr-Gasms for you to experience. Bye!
Bye.